Hello. Today I'm going to be watching the State of the Union. Just going to give some analysis on it as we go through it. Looks like it still hasn't quite yet started, but I'll keep an eye on it. And yeah, looking forward to it.
Tariffs, very unpatriotic. He said that they were lapdogs of the radical left. He spoke.
Hello. Yeah, so just getting started with this. The commentators mentioned that this might be a tense situation because the Supreme Court just went against Trump's tariffs, so that'll give us an idea of which way that is leaning. But definitely going to be an exciting State of the Union to watch. Hello, everyone. Great to see you all.
About them as if they were beholden to foreign interests. Really quite a display, something we've really never seen an American president talk about the Supreme Court that way. I get the sense that tonight the message will be somewhat different. David, you and I had a chance to have lunch with the president today as a preview to this speech. My sense coming out of that is that he wants this to be a celebration of America's 250th anniversary, to talk about what he sees as the accomplishments of his administration, and I think we'll pull some of those punches tonight.
The doors are now open in the chamber, John. Thanks so much. We are expected to hear the announcement. The president has arrived for the State of the Union.
The President of the United States.
Hi, let me see here. So, well, thanks so much for watching. Oh, comment right away. I don't know, I have a couple of favorite politicians. The candidate that kind of got me interested in politics was Beto O'Rourke when he ran for, oh,
It is customary for the anchors of the networks and some cable news sources to be invited to the White House under Republican presidents, under Democrat presidents. On the day of the State of the Union, also lunch, made it very clear that we will address the economy tonight. Obviously, the polls, this White House, very aware of its handling of the economy in terms of the American people, that they can look at the stock market, but also can look at their grocery bills and recognize that they're not feeling this quite yet. You can see the very warm welcome that he's getting from his Republican colleagues there in the chamber. Let's go right to Rachel Scott, who's also in the chamber tonight. And Rachel, what do you make of what you see so far? And are there empty seats, as have been predicted by many of the Democrats who said they might sit this one out?
Well, David, I've covered several State of the Unions from this very seat up here in the gallery in the House chamber. There are far fewer Democrats tonight than there have been in years past. And David, what is notable right now as I'm watching the president, look at this, Congressman Al Green holding up a sign. I believe I'm looking at it right now. It said something in reference to apes. Black people are not apes, in reference to that post that the president had on his social media account, a racist post that was offensive.
Trump is just walking in, about to start State of the Union. There's been some commentary. There it looks like Democrats are already doing somewhat of a protest. Al Green, one of the congressmen, I can't remember which state he's from, but he has a sign up protesting Trump. So it'll be interesting to see what Democrats react with throughout this State of the Union. Oh, I'm just watching the State of the Union and giving an analysis while I watch it. So if you're interested, thank you.
Clearly a sign of protest there. Also notable as the president's making his way down toward the Supreme Court justices, David, is some Democrats didn't even bother to turn around as the president entered the House chamber tonight, and Democratic leadership, notably Hakeem Jeffries, was seated.
We just saw the president obviously shake the Chief Justice's hand. There's Justice Elena Kagan, Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett. Of course, he chose Amy Coney Barrett for the bench. She was one of the justices who did not vote in his favor and did not shake her hand there. Did interact with the Chief Justice, but then with none of the other justices. And John Carl, this was a question for the president today. Obviously didn't want to go on the record, didn't offer any answer to us. But it was clear to us at the White House that he didn't quite know how he was going to handle the justices when he got there tonight.
Yeah, interesting that shake, very quick shake with John Roberts, and going right by Amy Coney Barrett, who he put on the court.
Of course, we should point out Chief Justice John Roberts, instrumental in that decision as well.
He wrote the decision.
Choosing to interact only with the Chief Justice.
But Trump felt particularly betrayed by the justices that he put on the court that ruled against him.
Neil Gorsuch included in that, though Neil Gorsuch, Justice Gorsuch, not there this evening along with the other justices who are not there. By the way, the four justices who did come for tonight's State of the Union are the same four who were here a year ago for the joint address to Congress. Mary Bruce, this president knows this is a critical midterm election year and that the Republicans hold very slim majorities in both the House and the Senate.
David, tonight is the president's best chance to defend his first year back and try to sway skeptical voters to back Republicans in the upcoming midterms. He needs to convince Americans that he is laser focused on that issue that is top of mind for them, the cost of living. He's going to argue his policies are working, but as we know, the polls show so many Americans simply aren't feeling that in their wallets. 57% disapprove of his handling of the economy. And of course, as we've been discussing, this comes just 4 days now after the court delivered that devastating blow right to the heart of his economic agenda by invalidating most of his sweeping tariffs.
This term, affordability, really gets under his skin. He has said on the one hand,
Hey guys, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? I appreciate it. Thank you.
one on affordability, and on the other, he says this affordability crisis was created by my predecessor. So it'll be curious to see how he tackles affordability and what the American people are feeling at the grocery store and costs of utilities and housing and what have you. I just want to point your attention at home.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
There you have it, the Speaker of the House with George Washington's gavel tonight, introducing President Trump. Let's listen.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's really an honor. Speaker Johnson, Vice President Vance, First Lady of the United States.
Trump just started. He's been thanking some people that are in the audience. It looks like most of his family showed up. Just finished mentioning the First Lady. Will be interesting to see who else he points to throughout the rest of the State of the Union.
Second Lady of the United States. my fellow Americans. Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
It's always interesting to see who ends up standing and clapping and how engaged different audience members are during the State of the Union. Trump has done well. Definitely Republicans seem to be the primary one to be clapping at this point. Mostly the Supreme Court justices remain, they don't stand up or cheer or clap unless it's a very nonpartisan issue. So it'll be interesting to see who kind of supports and starts clapping throughout this speech.
Less than 5 months from now, our country will celebrate an epic milestone in American history, the 250th anniversary of our glorious American independence. This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure.
There's a lot of chanting USA going on. Definitely appealing towards Republicans at the moment. It'll be interesting to see if we see any display of bipartisan nature or bipartisan accomplishments. That'll be interesting to see. For now, we're primarily focusing on getting the support of Republicans. Oh, that's just a curtain rod. Nothing too much. Just had my degree up there. Maybe that's what you mean.
Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before. And our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked. And America is respected again, perhaps like never before.
Trump has definitely been working on touting the economy. Generally, that is one of, if not the most important issues for presidents to focus on, and he has a bit of a hard decision to make here, which way to present the economy, but definitely focusing on the positives. Democrats will probably point to some significant weak points in the current economic climate, with Spanberger's Democratic response to the State of the Union. But for now, Trump is definitely focusing in on the economy.
4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked. We now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year.
Hey, yeah, I was just watching the State of the Union going over. Trump is definitely focusing on crime, the economy, and immigration seem to be the primary focuses. But yeah, I appreciate you guys all being here. Thank you.
And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years. Year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%.
I do. Sorry, I'm not sure what that is. Probably not. But I'm not great. I took 2 years of ASL in high school, so I can finger spell and I know a couple words. But here, let me look that up. 1 second.
Gasoline reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states. Under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster. It is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline. Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since.
Yeah, I looked it up. Let's see here. I'm sorry, a little confused. Do you want me to sign the 2 birds and a wire, or let's see, I can maybe figure it out. Yeah, feel free to let me know in the chat, but I gotta get back to the State of the Union though. Thank you.
since I took office. 1 year. And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem well, at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both. And we are going to keep it that way. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. Think of that. 1 year. Boosting pensions, 401ks, and retirement accounts for the millions and millions of Americans. They're all gaining. Everybody's up, way up. In 4 long years, the last administration got... That's the first time I've ever seen them get up. And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House.
Trump is cheering on and pointing out the U.S. Olympians who in I think it was hockey that beat Canada, and they're standing up now.
And I just want to say a second very big congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuck. Think of it, 46 shots on goal, and I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off. Do you practice that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given, and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best, and I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. They said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no, and every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you all. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much. also pleased to say that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics, and it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to be safe, just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. And this year, and I must say I got them both. I got them in the first term, and I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I got them because I got the Olympics and I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup, so we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming, and that is exciting news.
Trump has been talking about the Olympics for a while, talking about the next couple large-scale sporting events that are going to take place here in the U.S. Brings up the World Cup, and then of course the next LA Games. Definitely going through on some of that. Not too political. It's getting pretty wide sport.
So this will be a year to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II, serving in the Pacific under the
I like
great
turtles as well.
General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday. So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas. One of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate.
Trump is pointing out some veterans from various wars. Oh, hi. Glad you're back. Pointing out a couple veterans from various wars, and it's getting pretty wide approval from everybody there.
And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you. like to have the military aid to please come down and take care of the service. Military aid, thank you very much. Take care of that very important service. Thank you very much. From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together we're building a nation where every child has a chance to reach higher and go further. Where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who
Trump's
came
going back
before
to
us,
the economy,
and that is the
definitely
promise we
focus,
must
and
keep
probably be
to
a
America
big focus
for
of
our
throughout this speech, as it
250th
normally is.
year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans. All Democrats, every single one of them, voted against these really important and very necessary massive tax cuts. They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead. But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great students. And we also made interest on auto loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America. Recently in Pennsylvania, I met Megan Hamhauser, a devoted mom whose homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night, as her husband so much richer, because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and her expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her husband will take home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it. I did not name that. Nobody believes me, but I did not name it. It was named by a very tall man standing right there in the third row. Nice man, a good man. Tax-free investment accounts for every American child. This is something that's so special and has taken off and gone through the roof. Millions will be
Trump has been going through the somewhat recent tax bill that got passed in the big, beautiful bill, as it was known, pointing out some of the adjustments to the tax code. It made like no tax on tips and overtime, and he's called out a couple people who have benefited from it in his mind, and he's just going through a couple people that said it's called ordinary. Not sure what you mean, but appreciate it.
Funded courtesy of the U.S. Treasury and private individuals like Michael and Susan Dell, who have donated $6,250 million to fund the Trump accounts for 25 million American children. 6 billion. $6 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 billion. They're great people. When I asked Michael, how do you make all that money? He said, well, I just sat on my dorm in school and I made computers and I'd sell them to people. And I just kept selling and selling and selling. And pretty amazing story. That's called the American Dream. He sold a lot of computers, a lot of those laptops. So I congratulate him on that. But I really thank him, Susan, as well as others like Brad Gerstner, a very tremendous guy. He was behind it right from the beginning. Brad Gerstner. Thank you, Brad.
He's going through the Trump accounts, I think they're called, for kids, which getting a lot of applause, mostly from Republicans, but definitely a good talking point to go through.
With modest additional contributions, these young people's accounts could grow to over $100,000 or more by the time they turn 18. Think of it. How much money is that for somebody that started with nothing? Over 100,000, could be much more than that. To make this investment in our children's future, go to trumpaccounts.gov. Trumpaccounts.gov. And a lot of people are doing it. It's setting every record in the book. It's popular. They knew what it was going to take. So proud of them. I'm so proud of the people that got it started. And now it's just taken off. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of millions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth. And the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that
Mentioned this at the beginning, but Trump, the U.S. Supreme Court had the call and the decision on his tariffs that ultimately were declared to not be legal, and there's been some tension. The Supreme Court is sitting there, of course, as they normally do at the State of the Union, and is they obviously are try to be a nonpartisan body, so they aren't clapping very much. They generally tend to only clap at things that are very not polarizing and kind of unifying, but it has definitely been created for some tension between Trump and the Supreme Court justices, especially as he's talking about them now, and it's panning to them on a couple occasions.
almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. We remain in place under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes, and they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariff paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Moving forward, factories, jobs, investment, and trillions of dollars will continue pouring into the United States of America because we finally have a president who puts America first. He put America first. I love America. For decades before I came along, we had the exact opposite. From trade to healthcare, from energy to immigration, everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New Scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. There were murders, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly used the word affordability, a word. They just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem. They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting down. The price of eggs is down 60%. Madam Secretary, thank you. The cost of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles, rent is lower today than when I took office by a lot. And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while. We're getting it down. And soon you will see numbers that few people would think were possible to achieve just a short time ago. Nobody can believe when they see the kind of numbers, especially energy, when they see energy going down to
Has
numbers
been
like that.
still talking on the economy with inflation that reached high point during Biden's term. He's mostly blaming Democrats for it. Unsurprisingly, Democrats are not applauding, which is fair. But he's definitely been talking more about the economy. I'll keep you guys updated.
Believe it. It's like another big tax cut. I'm also confronting one of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care caused by you. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance companies gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great healthcare plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be better health care at a much lower cost. In addition, my plan requires maximum price transparency. That's a big deal. Sounds so simple, so big. And I did that in my first term, and the Democrats immediately terminated it with full knowledge that they were doing a very bad thing for the people. Costs were going to go way up, and that's what happened. And now I'm bringing them way down on health care and everything else. I'm also ending the wildly inflated cost of prescription drugs like has never happened before.
Trump's been focusing on healthcare costs and whatnot, bringing up the Affordable Care Act. He's calling it the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. He has had some backlash for being against it, while not proposing much of a plan himself, but he is hinting at elements of that. It'll be interesting to see if that materializes into a bill for Congress to vote on, but for now he's mostly been focusing in on Democrats and healthcare.
Other presidents tried to do it, but they never could. They tried. Most didn't try, actually. But they tried. They said they tried. They couldn't do it. They didn't even come close. They were all talk and no action. But I got it done under my So now I'm calling on Congress to codify my most favored nation program into law. Now, the one thing I'm not sure it matters because it's going to be very hard for somebody that comes along after me to say, let's raise drug prices by 700 or 800%. But John and Mike, if you don't mind, codify it anyway. They may do it. Codify it anyway. Thank you. Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory so that no one's prices will go up. And in many cases, prices of electricity will go down for the community and very substantially down. This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. It will ensure the company's ability to get electricity while at the same time lowering prices of electricity for you. It could be very substantial for all of you cities and towns. You're going to see some good things happen over the next number of years. Another pillar of the American dream that has been under attack is home ownership. With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of two from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated. Stories like this are why last month I signed executive order to ban large Wall Street investment firms from buying up in the thousands single-family homes. And now I'm asking Congress to make that ban permanent because homes for people, that's what we want. We want homes for people, not for corporations. Corporations are doing just fine. Rachel, thank you very much. Good luck with your home. You'll get one soon. We're also working to make it easier for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our seniors. We will always protect Social Security, Medicare. Since it took office, the typical 401k balance is up by at least $30,000. That's a lot of money. We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records, your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access.
President Trump is definitely placing an emphasis on the economy. He's been going through stock market metrics that have done well, according to him, under his presidency. And it'll be interesting to see what other topics he focuses on throughout the rest of the State of the Union.
As to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer to profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she was here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay. I wasn't sure if anybody, even on this side, was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. But when it comes to the corruption that is plunging, it's plundering America. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe. So tonight, although it started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President J.D. Vance. We'll get it done. And if we're able to find enough of that fraud, we will actually have a balanced budget overnight. It'll go very quickly. That's the kind of money you're talking about. We'll balance our budget. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world where bribery, corruption, and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games. Delilah. Delilah Colton was only 5 years old in June 2024 when an 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk, have a good life. She wouldn't even be able to eat again. But against all odds, she is now in the first grade learning to walk. And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And yesterday, as you probably saw at the White House, I hosted a ceremony with Americans who lost their treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration. People came into our country, how we allowed this to happen with our open borders. These are the angel moms and families that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored. It was terrible. Hard to believe, actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life, violently and viciously. Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals to our country at record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you. We can never forget that many in this room not only allowed the border invasion to happen before I got involved, but indeed they would do it all over again if they ever had the chance.
Trump's been focusing on immigration for quite a while. Definitely, probably coming up second to the economy. But he's gone through a couple people that were brought to the State of the Union, going over various stories and incidents that occurred with immigration-related issues, and has been bringing up Democrats at virtually every point. So it'll be interesting to see if he continues on this route. Definitely something he has done quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But immigration definitely coming up to be the second most talked about issue in the State of the Union.
Got elected, they would open up those borders to some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. The only thing standing between Americans and a wide open border right now is President Donald J. Trump and our great Republican patriots in Congress. Thank you. As we speak, Democrats in this chamber have cut off all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's all cut off. All cut off. They have instituted another Democrat shutdown. The first one costing us 2 points on GDP. 2 points we lost on GDP, which probably made them quite happy, actually. Now they have closed the agency responsible for protecting Americans from terrorists and murderers. Tonight I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States, and also for helping people clean up their snow. We have no money because of the Democrats, and it would be nice. You have to give your hand to cleaning it up, but you give no money. Nobody's getting paid. It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. That protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act. To stop illegal aliens and others who are unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. That cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID.
Trump has been going through Utah Senator Mike Lee's, if I remember correctly, it's his bill, the Save America Act. It does a couple things. Trump is pointing primarily to the requirement for state-issued ID for voting. The bill has some other less popular sections that are a large reason why Democrats aren't supporting it at the moment, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as this bill potentially goes to a vote.
All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None. And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats. 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. I speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens. And the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They
Reiterating some of his opinions when it comes to elections and voting and the Save America Act that I just talked about. So it'll be interesting to see what he continues to mention on this topic. It does seem like he's been weaving through a couple topics, including immigration, the economy, and well, in some ways that's an immigration issue, but he's been focusing on some key parts, and Democrats are virtually doing nothing. They're just sitting there. He's getting pretty consistent applauding from Republicans, and then the Supreme Court pretty much never clapping. They very rarely do, just because they're a nonpartisan body. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on those groups. Trump is still going on about the Save America Act, which is the voter ID law that Republicans have been working on, and he is proposing that it be implemented before 2026 midterms, which are coming up in November. And he's also been reiterating some claims that, to his opinion, that the government, that the elections have been illegitimate, definitely pointing to 2020 as the main example. Ultimately, these claims aren't true, but he has been pointing to a couple instances, and it'll be interesting to see if he continues to do this.
come up with things, you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat, they have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, Judge. And here is one more opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle. In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up. Thank you for your great bravery. And who can believe that we're even speaking about things like this? 15 years ago, if somebody was up here and said that, they'd say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we've been talking about it? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? No one cares more about protecting America's youth than our wonderful First Lady. Now a movie star. She's a movie star. Can you believe it? Who would have believed that? Over the past year, she has had an incredible impact championing AI legislation, advancing a landmark executive order on foster care, and helping secure $30 million to launch the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. It's a tremendous, really a tremendous thing that happened and had a lot of bipartisan support. She gets much better bipartisan support than I do. I get none. She gets a lot. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you did that. And students and educators in every state have joined the First Lady's efforts in the presidential AI challenge, keeping America's next generation positioned to succeed and strongly succeed in the future. Tonight, we welcome two young people whose lives reflect the First Lady's impact, Sierra Burns and Everest Nevermont. Thank you both, and Melania, thank you. I know how hard you work on it. Thank you. Office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal.
Trump has been doing some interesting kind of tests with the audience where it says like, and if you stand for this principle, it's common sense. And then definitely trying to put Democrats in bad lighting with somewhat partisan statements, but it'll be interesting to see if he continues to do this. And then there's been more emphasis on immigration and the economy, definitely key talking points for the State of the Union.
So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand. Thank you, Erica. Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see. Above all, unleashing America's promise requires keeping our communities safe. We have made incredible strides, yet dangerous repeat offenders continue to be released by pro-crime Democrat politicians again and again. We are honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Anya Zaretska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman. Irina fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who'd been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget there were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal, set free to kill in America, came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretska, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there.
Trump is doing quite a fefew stories on various immigration situations. It'll be interesting to see how this goes for the rest of the speech. His speech seems to cycle through a couple topics while going back to immigration and the economy. Definitely focusing on blaming Democrats the majority of the time. This is commonly done by whatever party holds the executive, blaming the party that is the opposite of the president's party. So it isn't too shocking that he would do this. Virtually every president does some sort of remark and a couple interesting statements directed at the opposing political party. So Trump has definitely continued this, and it seems to be consistent throughout this speech.
They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night, and she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone, but his mother said, "No, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it." I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, "I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay." This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying hopelessly in bed, blood all over. "Everybody is praying," she said. "Sir, he will be okay." The doctors didn't understand what she was saying. And after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melanie? She turned out to be right. Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much. So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart. We love you all. Love you. We're proudly restoring safety for Americans at home, and we are also restoring security for Americans abroad. Our country has never been stronger. In my first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? You're sick people. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people, said the Prime Minister of Pakistan, would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jared. And I also want to thank the Mandate Report to Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco. People like you. You know, Marco got 100% of the votes when he was in confirmation. I think our next one was about 54%. And some of the Democrats are now saying, I can't believe we approved that guy. And he said it's an honor that they feel that way, right, Marco? You have done a great job, great Secretary of State. I think he'll go down as the best ever. Under the ceasefire I negotiated, every single hostage, both living and dead, has been returned home. Can you believe that?
Trump's been doing emphasis on foreign policy, going through various wars that he's claiming he ended, and he's been pointing to Secretary of State Marco Rubio on a couple occasions, just gave him a standing ovation. He mentioned that Rubio might be regarded as the best Secretary of State, and I think that is an interesting case, an interesting statement. It is going to be an interesting statement to see in the State of the Union, but for now, Trump is still going on. We are at about an hour and a half for the State of the Union. They vary in time of how long they normally asked, so I appreciate you guys sticking with me. But he has been going for a while, and we'll get to the next part of the speech next.
Both living and dead, and those parents, tough job. And they finally got it back to 27. And then Steve and Jared, they got it back to 28. They found all 28. Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it. And I remember the family of the 28th. They were so grieved, but they were so happy as it's possible to be. They had their boy back. The mother said, sir, we have our boy back. What a period of time that was, but we got them all back. So thank you both very much. And we're working very hard to end the ninth war, the killing and slaughter between Russia and Ukraine, where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that, 25,000 soldiers are dying a month. A war which would have never happened if I were president. Would have never happened. As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian soil known as Operation Midnight Hammer. For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism, death, and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the...
Trump has been going through more foreign policy notes and his various wars. He just discussed the war in Ukraine, that he mentioned that he's making headway on it. It'll be interesting to see if this war gets resolved quickly. So far, it's been an emphasis of Trump, but hasn't materialized into much. He did point out several other conflicts that he has mentioned he's been able to solve the dispute over. Some Democrats pointed out that some of these wars weren't as quite a big a deal as he was calling them out to be. Up to you whether or not you interpret it that way, but in general, he's been focusing more on foreign policy, getting more applause from the military leaders within the State of the Union body at the moment.
roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact. He was the father of the roadside bomb. And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like 32,000 protests, 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America.
He's going over Iran
After
at the
Midnight
moment.
Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, in particular nuclear weapons. Yet they continue starting it all over. We wiped it out and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. And no nation should ever doubt the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so. Also, just approved $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to be strong because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called peace through strength, and it's been very, very effective. So thanks to Republican in Congress, we're investing that record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces. Also creating a lot of jobs, but we're not even doing it for that reason. Because as I said, we have more jobs, more people working today than ever before in the history of our country.
Trump's going over national defense, pointing to the increased military budget that Republicans have put forward, and definitely presenting Republicans in a good light as far as it comes to military spending. It's cut to Lindsey Graham, who at the moment is on the screen, and it'll be interesting to see if this bill ends up, if the funding, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this bill. But for now, we'll just keep watching the State of the Union.
And NATO countries are friends and allies. They are. They're our friends and they're our allies. Have just agreed at my very strong request to pay 5% of GDP for military defense rather than the 2%, which they weren't paying. We were paying for almost all of NATO. Now they're paying 5 as opposed to not paying 5. And getting that 5% was something which everyone said would never be done, could not happen. We got it really easily, one meeting. And big difference between 2% that's not paid. We were paying, afraid of many of them, very few were paid out. Now 5%, then they're paid. And everything we send over to Ukraine is sent through NATO, and they pay us in full. They pay us totally in full. Every branch of our armed forces is setting records for recruitment. This is so exciting. And every service member recently. And every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. They put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things, a lot of money. We have much more money than people understand. Have to rebuild that program a little bit, but it won't take long. But we got the money, and it was $1,775, and they wanted my approval. And I said, what's the number? $1,775. I said, wait a minute, for $1 more, we can have $1,776. I said, we're going to figure that. I never asked anybody if we could afford it. $1 more, I said $1,776. And I said, that's good. And I'll tell you what, our military, that was 4 months ago, our military, I never see a person in the military that doesn't thank me for it. So we're honored to do it. They deserve it. And we call it 1776. It was great. And we love our military. We love our law enforcement. We love our firemen. You know, the firemen don't get mentioned enough. We love our firemen. We're also... falling in love. Anymore. We've also taken down one of the most sinister cartel kingpins of all. We saw that yesterday. In January,